Peace, y'all. We waiting for Danielle to come in. We gonna get started on the first episode of the 5th season of Virgo Virgin Talk. I'm very excited to be here. I love Virgo Virgin Talk. It's one of my favorite podcasts, as you all know. This season we'll be talking about indigenous tribes, and we will be chatting about the Olmecs.
Testing, testing.
Okay, I can hear you now.
So my picture not showing?
I see your picture.
Live access need live. What, huh? Need to go live on video as a guest. You can go live on audio. What? Okay, well, how do I give you access to? Okay, I was trying to turn on the video.
There we go. Yeah.
Am I still here or not? It
I
says the
can see
guest will be
you.
back soon.
You're here.
But you can't see my face though, right?
No, I just see your picture.
What in the world? Hold on, let me check my settings.
While she returns.
It has permission for my camera.
Hey, sunshine with the affirmations to enjoy your day with sunshine.
Okay. Mm.
Came through with intentions of destruction.
Okay, I don't understand why it won't allow my camera to have access. Is it because I don't have a certain amount of followers on here or what? It only lets me join like with voice.
It says you don't have access to join with video.
Why is that? That's crazy. Okay. Well, it's fine. I can't see my beautiful face today. Why would they limit that? I guess I have to build up my followers first in order to. But no, because I joined Time Stream and I was able to be on camera then, I think. Or was I only on audio then? No matter. Greetings, everyone. Greetings, sunshine.
Peace, peace.
We are back for another season. This is season 5, episode 1. What is this episode called again?
This is the this is the rise of the Olmecs. We're
I
talking about
thought
the
it was.
Olmecs today.
The rise of the Olmecs. Okay, okay. So the Olmecs were an ancient civilization, right? In Mexico, as we know it. Now, when we first heard about the Olmecs, when I first heard about the Olmecs, this was, via Facebook upon them showing images of giant statue heads. I've never learned about this in my school history, college, anything like that. These are a civilization I had, only had discovered on Facebook. What about you?
Yeah, when I seen I think the first time I seen the Olmec type head might have been in school on TV or something. I remember these heads being on was that Nickelodeon show? Uh
Oh, the Temple of Doom?
yeah, yeah.
Okay, okay, yes.
So I remember this being one of those talking heads, but that's as far as my memory goes. I mean, I don't remember learning too much like specifically on the Olmecs.
No, we never delved into like the history of the Olmecs. Didn't even know what they were called. It's kind of like I think I have more information about the what are they called? The skulls on Easter Island. I have more information on them than these guys right here. Um, Not to take away from the Olmecs though, but yeah, they were a civilization. In 1600 BCE to about 400 BCE. hmm
Mm-hmm.
The location was what is called now Veracruz and Tabasco. Um, yes, exactly the same as the hot sauce. Funny. And the name means the rubber people in the Aztec and Nahuatl language, um, due to them using natural rubber.
Yeah, they had a tree out there. It was called Castilia elastica, and they used to take like the the essence of this tree, like the leaves, and mix it with the roots of the morning's glory vines. So when you mix the two, it turns
hmm
into rubber. They created a lot of things. They had balls, they had shoes, they had different kind of products that were rubber based. They even had like their own ball games and stuff like that that they played, which were pretty intense because they made
Fighting
their
for your
ball
life.
yeah, you was fighting for your life. They made the ball games like good versus evil, and so like whoever lost had to be sacrificed by decapitation, which is kind of crazy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's kind of, but that's the evil people that were being sacrificed, right?
I
Mm.
mean, I guess if you lost, you were automatically considered evil. I don't know.
Damn, that's crazy because you could have been the greatest person, there. You just wasn't that skilled at the sport. I
Yeah.
guess you better have taken time and dedication. Did they have proper time to prepare for these games or anything? Did they have any type of, practice, walks, rites of passage before they play these games? Did they have to go through initiation process? I have so many questions.
Right. I don't really know. I didn't even look too much into it. I
Well,
just I seen that on where I find that information. Ancientorigins.net about that as far as that goes. There's not too
mhm,
much information in detail about the Olmecs. They do have a written language, and
mhm,
these are like one of the first of the ancient cultures to have a written language, which is pretty dope. Uh,
mhm.
However, is apparently there's like no like like how we have books and literature and articles and blogs and stuff like that. There's not too much like that going as far as the Olmecs is concerned. Real convenient.
Mm, okay. Well, yeah, we are limited on information about them, and it was stated several places that it's kind of the information is very vague. Um, what I'm curious about is why is so much information so vague? I think they believe what they said. Um, they didn't leave a lot behind. So what they sacrificed each other off in the end? Did they do type of like a Jim Jones type of ordeal or whatever? When they thought the end was nearing. I don't know. Makes me wonder. But they were a major civilization in the Mesoamerica's first complex civilization, what they will say.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they were famous for carving, 17 colossal stone heads, some of them weighing over 50 tons. Um, how they carved them was they didn't have any metal tools. They didn't reach that yet, but they used obsidian, which is volcanic glass, we learned, and
Mm-hmm.
they used them for their blades and their knives, and they used chert and flint for carving and cutting, and basalt and other hard stones for making the larger sculptures and the monuments. So the colossal heads is what they use the basalt and the other hard stones. They didn't name the other hard stones. Well, I'd be delving for information like, okay, what are the other stones? Like, do those other stones exist? Like, because crystals, rock stones, all that, last for eons, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe there's any rocks or stones that have gone extinct or crystals. Yes, the wonderful pictures here.
Yeah,
Welcome everyone to the live. Welcome.
some of the things that they made with their tool.
Okay, okay, they were skilled artisans. Okay, architects.
They be trying to make it seem like we was living in teepees and huts and stuff before the civilizers came around, and nah. A lot of the structures of the buildings they use, especially in DC, is influenced by ancient architects. 'Cause that looks like
Okay,
a
look
lot
at
of
that
buildings.
perfect architectural structure right there. The
Mm-hmm.
tower that's still standing. That is like, look at all the sides. They're even as well. You know, doesn't look lopsided or anything. And the roofing. I
All
like
right,
to go there. Hmm.
I found the rules. So, two teams of players try to propel a rubber ball through a stone ring, kind of like a basketball hoop,
Hmm.
or onto a designated area using only their hips, knees, elbows, or shoulders. So, it sounds like it's like a blend of volleyball and basketball at the same time. And then the captain of the losing team, or even sometimes the entire team that lost, would be sacrificed to the gods.
Could you imagine like trying to dribble a ball with your hips and let alone shooting it? Keeping it balanced. And then let alone shooting it. And to how tall was the ring, the stone ring that they had to shoot it in?
I don't know, because sometimes it was just a designated spot, so it could have been on the ground too.
Okay, interesting. Hmm.
And they did have trophies. Um, they can take on the form of arms, hands, a player, or a fan-tailed bird. Stone yokes, which are typically U-shaped or to be worn around the waist in imitation of the protective waist gear. Hand stones, and they're elaborately carved. And a lot of the trophies are frequently found in the graves with the players, which is pretty interesting.
Okay. That is interesting. And you said they were sacrificed at the end of the game by decapitation.
Hmm.
They love heads. They love head. I want. I didn't find the significant, meaning behind them only like carving, like making colossal sculptures of just the heads alone, or what have you. But the carvings of or the sculptures of the colossal heads were of people who were of certain rank, held a certain rank, or were significantly important to the tribes, or what have you. There wasn't a lot of women carvings. There wasn't a lot of carvings of women.
Mm-mm.
So it was a It what led me to believe it was more of a patrial society, or maybe they don't want. Maybe the historians didn't want to, you know, maybe mention some of the women. That happens too. Like no remains of women were found. Like we don't know what the women were
They didn't have any over there. None of them.
doing. Nah, they came from different tribes. We made it with them, exchanged with them, had babies, and that's it. I said made it.
They were polytheistic though. They usually depicted their people with animal heads to show like the forces of nature. The Olmecs were mostly like jaguar people, which is like the force of nature of rain and fertility, royalty, power, and they had some other deities too. They had a maize god. Um, Corn was a maize or corn, I don't remember, was a big thing because they could do so much with it. And so the god represent life, agriculture, and renewal. Another one was the feathered serpent, which is sky, wisdom, and power. Another one was like a fish or water, which we had to address that a little bit in the previous season of Virgo Virgin Talk when we talked about the mermaids. How a lot of
Hmm.
different cultures have their own version of mermaids that they get their energy. The deity they have for the fish water is rivers, the underworld, death, and rebirth. And then another one that I saw was the bird deities, and that usually represents sky, rulership, and weather. They had a lot more, but those are like the main ones. They also had a calendar, which is a big deal. Them having their own writing, their own calendar, their own math setup that was based on 20, which is pretty interesting. Um, they also had their own drainage system, and I don't think I got a picture of that, but it was the picture that I did see was like it was kind of like a I forget what you call those, but like a divot between the house and you know the outside area like the lawn or whatever,
Oh,
and
like a moat.
yeah,
I think
yeah,
is what it would be, like a moat, something like that.
something like that. But it wasn't like in the ground. It was like on top of the ground. It was kind of like the hinges on the house, but it was just outside on the ground.
Okay, so they had like a nice drainage system going on.
Hmm.
Hmm.
They did have living.
Above ground drainage system.
Yeah,
Um.
it seemed like everything was made like adobe material out of stone. The combo of sand and uh, like hay or something of the like and water.
Oh, like a French drain then,
Yeah,
and gutters. Basically gutters then. Okay.
their calendar. So the calendar is separated into like two separate ways. Like they got a 260-day calendar. This is their day ritual calendar. It has like the sacred rounds to it. So it's 20 days worth of names. Like you have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We got 7. They got 20 of them. and they're numbered from 1 to 13 next to them. So you would have Monday 1, Monday 2, Monday 3, or whatever for like 13 weeks, and that's the 260 day. And this
Mm.
is in alignment with agriculture. This was also in alignment with the cycles of Venus and Pleiades and the Orion cycle, because they see Orion's belt a little bit different. Well, a lot of bit different down there, but it got
Mhm.
into. But that 260-day calendar gets into their cycles and how they move across the sky down there. And then you still have the 365-day calendar, or the solar calendar still getting in alignment with, how the sun rises and falls. And that's divided into 18 and 20 days per month. So it's still based on that 20. And then they have like 5 extra naming that they input throughout, like how we have 30 days some month and 31 days some month. They have, that in there. So that's the two calendars that they have, which is pretty interesting because it also shows that they were well had knowledge in not only writing but also mathematics and science and astrology, and they were able to pay attention to the patterns in the sky, so they were, observant. So um, we're not referring to knuckle draggers right now, and that's fun.
Right. I mean, I never envisioned anybody being like a knuckle dragger back then. Like, I mean, not during that era, anyways. Maybe those were a different type of species. Maybe those species existed or what have you, or
Hmm.
maybe they were just like, how you have like. Let me find the proper wording for it so I don't offend anybody. Maybe those type of people were disabled, had like some type of mental disability or learning, you know, type of disability or what have you. And they probably just grouped them people together and
Hmm.
sent them off, to fend on their own. Because definitely back then, only the strongest survived. Um, yeah, how did they deal with, how did they, yeah, how did they live side by side with people with mental disabilities or whatever? I don't think they accepted that back then, like how we do now. Mm.
That is a good question, because no, they didn't. Like in other cultures that I read about, or seeing documentaries on and stuff like that.
Maybe we could look into that more. I had to ponder about that for a quick moment. I'm gonna write that down in my notes.
And then it's also said that the term Olmec is not even their original name. There's apparently there's nowhere where their actual name exists. So they came up with the term Olmec, which means rubber people.
Hmm.
That was disappointing.
It is disappointing because I could have sworn I read somewhere where they were called something where they had a name for them, but I can't recollect it now. Oh, here we go. Yes, I found it. See, I wasn't lying. The They called it it pronounced the Chi people. The Xi people most likely refers to a historical group of people within the broader Olmec civilization of ancient Mexico. I told you that. I told you.
Mm-hmm.
Just when I was looking for it. See, you go to search and find it. Chi people as Olmecs. Some interpretations of Olmec history often found alternative historical narratives referred to the Olmecs as the Chi people. This usage is less common in the mainstream academic literature. Why is it that? African origin claims. Some individuals and groups have proposed that the Olmecs had African origins, specifically from West Africa and the Mende people, based on perceived similarities in physical features and cultural practices. So yeah, the Chi people, XI.
Oh my god.
Thank you, AI. because I knew I read it somewhere months
You're
ago.
the one that told me not to go to AI for answers because AI be lying.
I ain't never told you no shit like that. I
Ooh.
AI a whole
They do be
relationship.
lying though, because they're the ones that kept telling me, like every time I asked something about the Olmecs,
Mhm.
I compared
Mhm.
results. I would go on websites and articles
Right.
and stuff like that and find answers to my questions. But when I go to AI, they'd be like, it's not clear, or we don't really know, or there's
But
not really much evidence. And it's like,
this answer did pop up in AI, but I Googled chi people because I said, let me type into Google the chi people. And then it was already like it was already in my history, but it wasn't. It was already like in the search, you know,
mm.
because Google is like in espionage and shit, But anywho, that was the first thing that popped up, and it was exactly what I remembered. I knew I wasn't lying about that, but when upon me doing my research last week, I could not locate chi people anywhere on the internet. And thank you to the universe because for not making me a liar, because I knew I remember that. I have a photographic memory. And I also read up on it, of course. So yes, they were the chi people. Indeed. Mm. And it does say that it had African origins. As usual, because
I just found this article on academia.edu. It's called The Olmecs, a culture that worshipped handicapped people. And this was written in 1993. Um, this one is written by Simon Whitaker, who is a principal clinical psychologist. Um, and he writes that uh, one of the statements he says is their physical features have been defined as people with small stature, inclined to plumpness, rounded faces, chubby cheeks, short and wide noses, strong jaws and necks, thick lips, and heavy lidded eyes. Some of them had beards, which is unusual among Indians, most of whom had got long faces and noses and no hair on the face. The Olmecoids, never heard that term, but it's in here, lived on the sea and looked like Negroes with Oriental features.
come on
Um,
with it. Just like the people in where are they in South Africa? I think the Click Tongue people, the Click Tongue tribe. Mm-hmm.
There is some art that people were comparing between Ethiopia and over here in Mexico that they both look like the large heads that I was showing earlier. Literally like the same thing. Olmecs sacrificed jaguars, believing they hypnotized their victims, causing a hiccup, which made them sick. Therefore, when somebody met a jaguar in the rainforest, he started to confess his sins and was certainly killed as a punishment for being the sinner. The jaguar was a symbol of the earth and the night and was believed to be the lord of darkness and earthquake. Maya Indians also worshipped the animal.
They did. Mm-hmm. Where jaguar motif is central religious image of where jaguar, human jaguar hybrid linked to gods and myths. Mm-hmm.
Archaeologists have found many small and larger figures of children. Olmecs probably worship small and larger figures of children. Olmecs probably worship them as well. But what is more interesting is that even a lot of the adult figures have got baby faces um, in an immature, infantile way. Moreover, numerous figurines display people looking like dwarfs or having many deformities of the body, like humpback, no eyes, curved legs, disorders of sight, and others. For example, the figure of a deaf man covering the ear with his hand, or the so called altar of five children with deformed bodies, twisted and rudimentary limbs, toothless mouths. Some of them have very similar characteristics of Down syndrome people. um, the display slanting, heavy lidded eyes, simple ears, short and thick set neck, open mouth, and it is significant that figures are androgynous and as we know, genitals of other people. So it could be, it's a possibility that some of the figurines actually are women because they make their figures androgynous.
Okay. Mm.
And because of the amount of I guess figurines, they have come to the conclusion that the Olmecs was likely to worship physically and mentally handicapped people. But this is only a hypothesis based on the archaeological study discoveries.
Oh, did you input? Oh, you had just asked that question.
Yeah.
Okay. 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 I guess people back then were, kind of looking kind of different. You had something to come and look different. They probably thought of that person as a miracle baby or a god or something. I don't know.
The Aztecs actually did worship people with disabilities, and they were heavily
Hmm.
influenced by the Olmecs. It is said that the Olmecs were is actually like the mother of the tribes, as like they're more so the influencers. They're not very much influenced by other cultures.
Right. Mm. So that's where most of the latter cultures had stemmed from then. Okay.
Hmm.
So yeah, so they also call them the Shi Amaru natives.
Hmm.
Yeah, the Shi Amaru natives are the descendants of the Olmecs and the Mayans. Their roots are traced back to the Americas, around that area as well. Their ancestry flows directly from the civilization. Okay. They even practice the same similar spirituality and governance. So their lineage comes from that. Okay, so those people exist today. So I guess we gotta go to them and find some answers as well. She Amaru people.
Honorable people. All right, we got to put those. Yeah, definitely in the honorable mentions. According to MexicoHistorica.com, I looked up the role of women in Olmec society and religion. Um, the women's contributions were vital in shaping the economic, cultural, and religious tapestry of Olmec life. La 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 la. They had a crucial involvement in agricultural practices, religious rituals. Women were integral to the Olmec community. Uh,
They had shamanistic beliefs. Um, the rulers have acted as shamans and be believed to communicate with the spiritual world as well. Hmm.
yeah, that's
They
what
had an
another.
obsession with jade.
Yeah, jade and obsidian were like the two main crystals for them.
Hmm. Do we know why?
I think. Well, I think obsidian grows over there because that's the volcano stone that we was talking about. I'm not sure if jade grows over there.
Um, well, I'm pretty sure, maybe so, because the other empires after them had jade as well. I want to say turquoise too, though, but they didn't mention anything about turquoise. They were
Mm-mm.
fascinated with jade. Um,
I think that's if we go a little further up north, like we start chatting about like the Navajo
mhm.
native tribe, we'll start getting into the turquoise.
Okay. They associated jade with like water and fertility. They associated the color green and blue hues of jade with life-giving water and vegetation. Um, they had like they jade symbolic um, ties to water and vegetation naturally extended to the concepts of life and death and renewal. And small jade pieces were placed in the mouths of the deceased before burial, symbolizing connection to renewal and the hope of a prosperous afterlife. Um, Also representing supernatural beings, the jade carvings depicted human animal hybrids as other symbolic imagery, potentially linking to the shamanistic practices and desire to embody the power of certain animals like jaguars and eagles. Um, that part I can say is true because the Mayans did the same thing. Their connection with with jade and the um, jaguar, the little statues they had, or what have you, or their part of their attire as well. Hmm. And in the ritual use, um, Olmec blue jade symbolized water and the underworld, and it represents aquatic and serpentine rejuvenation. Jade perforators used in self-sacrifice rites to draw the blood, used to communicate with the gods and ancestors to sustain the gods.
You always say that.
And it's scarce and it's difficult obtaining jade, especially the translucent blue-green variety. Uh, it was not readily available in the heartland. It had to be imported from regions like Guatemala and the Motagua River Valley. Okay, making it a valuable trade commodity.
Yeah,
Also,
they
they
did
were
engage
rich,
in
rich.
trade with South America. I didn't see too much about more Northern America with them, but definitely like Central South America, they had like a whole trade situation. Let me see.
It symbolized power and wealth, um, including ceremonial access, mask, and jewelry, a clear indicator of high social status and political power. You know, generational value, heirlooms, mm, and it was considered as a suitable adornment for the gods and royalty, with association of divinity and power. Jade is a nice stone. It's kind of magical when you look at it.
It is. It's very pretty.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like they would trade with other tribes, and then they would do all this really dope shit with because they were heavy with like artistry, artisans and textiles, and of course the carvings and the figurines and all that stuff like that. They were really big on that. Women played a big role in that artistry part of everything as well as the religion and education and taking care of the home and family and agriculture. But they also played a really big part in the trade as they a lot of the artisan items were made by the women and traded amongst the women. So that's pretty cool. So it's
Okay.
like they was teaching people, they was like, oh, you got this jade, you got all this stuff, y'all don't even know what to do with it. They used to go back, make shoes, make bags, whatever, whatever, bring it back, like, see what we just did with it. So like they influenced a lot of different tribes like that. They had the Aztecs out there wearing rubber shoes.
What y'all niggas got Jade in y'all grill? Y'all grilling with Jade?
I got the Olmec 500.
Yeah. Air Force Wands.
But that's as far as like the people, the initial people that started researching the Olmecs, according to archons.org, um, you have the first explorers, which was Franz Blom and Oliver Lafarge of Tulane University in New Orleans in the 1920s. They were actually dodging the rebel bands during the Mexican Revolution, and in the process of doing that, they stumbled upon Olmec. What do you call it? I don't know, like figurine or something. and it
Mhm.
started the excavation. 13 years later, Matt Sterling of the Smithsonian Institute conducted the first scientific excavations in the Olmec heartland at La Venta and Tres Zapotes. So that happened over there. Um, as far as what they ate chocolate, beans, squash, fish, shellfish. They ate dogs. I always wonder where like dogs came from.
Oh, Yoda. Oh my God.
I'm so sorry.
Oh,
Where
Yoda.
dogs originated from, but they ate them during hunted deer, but I didn't see too much about them actually eating a deer. I just saw them hunting it and using the skin. And they ate sunflower seeds too. And maize, of course, was a big thing for them because it was they could do a lot of different stuff with corn.
Flautas and stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
Hmm. Pretty dope. Pretty dope. Okay. Um,
Oh my.
their mysterious decline around 400 BCE. They were thinking like it was debated between climate and conflict, etc. What conflict? We don't know. I'm thinking they
Mm.
sacrificed everybody. I'm thinking they did a damn Jim Jones.
I think they
They
just
put something in the
dispersed.
Kool-Aid.
I,
Hmm.
one, I think they're still around. They just probably dispersed into different tribes. Um, I don't think there was like a total eradication. I think it's just people didn't start looking into them until the 1920s, and they was like, "Hey, it was niggas over here."
You know what? Let's cover this up right here.
Right, 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 right.
Let's cover this shit up like we always do.
But I think it was just a matter, like, people were nomadic too, and sometimes if certain things happen, the tribe will just like pick up and travel somewhere else. So there's no telling. They might have had, it might have been the colonists were coming or a natural disaster or something, and they, had to get up out of there.
Yeah.
Because it's not too much. They don't have as all the art and all the writing and all the stuff that they have. They don't have a lot of warrior stuff. They don't. I don't see too much on heavy on weapons, armor. I don't see too much heavy on like different tribes fighting when they are writing like their stories on the walls and stuff like that. I don't. I didn't see too much of any of that. They didn't have specific warriors like when they were like excavating some of the bodies and stuff, and they were able to tell the different caste systems because some people were able to afford more things than others, and then certain divine beings were buried more so in the central area where other people were buried on the outside. However, they were saying they like life was good enough and equal enough for even like farmers, which seemed to be like the lowest, I guess, if you're gonna talk about a caste system. um Even farmers had access to like the artistry, and they wore jade and all that stuff too. So even they had access to them things.
You know what? I'm thinking about like there were volcanoes in the region, right? So
Mm,
maybe the volcanoes erupted and they had to relocate from that if they were able to, if they
that
all
would
didn't
explain
die
why
out
he was
from
buried.
the cryoplastic clouds.
That's valid because that would definitely explain how these big ass heads got buried.
Yeah, yeah. You know,
For
there's
real.
always a shift in the grounds, you know, with volcano, you know, the shifting of tectonic plate tectonics and all that. I believe that's what it's called, plate tectonics or whatever. Yeah. You know. Yeah, the ground moves all the time, you know. And think of thousands, tens of thousands of years. Yeah, they could very much have been buried.
Damn, it's fun here.
But yeah, I believe they probably had to leave the region, relocate, you know, interbreed with other tribes or what have you for survival. And, you know, that's probably why the descendants now of today have, you know, some of their beliefs and practices.
Hmm. It was said that as far as like the whole warrior situation goes, if somebody were to come invade, everybody fighting. It's not really too much. Oh, I'm a warrior and you not types on everybody in on it.
Okay, TCG. Everybody was TCG. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Everybody
And
trying to go, even the kids.
yep, everybody. We all leopards or jaguars.
Right.
And it was kind of like and it wasn't set up to where it was just like one like settlement and everybody just lived in this one spot. They actually were spread apart. Like they were like families underneath the Olmec civilization. So you would sometimes like certain areas would have like 7,000 people. Certain areas would have more or less than. It was just like spread out a little bit and along this area. What was that like? Mexico area.
Mm-hmm.
It was not like they were all condensed and living in a circular hut situation in one spot. We're talking about thousands of people. I think like one of the numbers that I saw was like 350,000 altogether, and that's just an estimate because who really knows? But they were, but
That's larger than most, towns.
right.
That's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people, and they're spread out. So that's how their tribes were set up.
I don't know why, they teach us like tribes were small and just in like, these tiny communities and villages or what have you. Like people wasn't populating the areas then. Like I guess I guess that's what, yeah, they program us to think that tribes didn't get very large.
I guess that makes the concept that they came and killed everybody more acceptable because it's
Mm,
like, see, there wasn't even nobody over there. Like,
yeah,
yeah, like a couple hundred. It was my easy. 100
yeah.
people here, 100 people there. But even like in Philly, like shouts to um Ben shit, Ben Rock, because he has different books and he also does a tour in Philly where he talks about the mounds and how the different tribes were set up. There was millions over here. Like this always been a congested area, and that's just the one tribe over there in the Philly area. We're not talking about the Lenapes that was over here on Jersey
Mm,
and the Delaware natives and stuff like that.
mm-hmm.
Those are all different tribes that like heavy populated, and we're still looking at each other today. But for some reason, there's just like this big energy on telling us that we're not who we are. We're not here.
We were
It's
never
so
here.
weird.
We were dropped
We
off
were never
on a
here,
boat.
but we're here.
We dropped off on a boat, shouty.
We're still here. So crazy.
Yeah, we were dropped off on a boat. Most of us, half of us were killed all the time or on plantations, and mm, somehow we're a minority, but yet we're a majority in the most urban cities. Mm.
Now you got people getting mad at us for saying we're not African. I'm like, bro, y'all don't even know the term, where the term Africa came from. If you did, you stop using that as a ruler. Like you're not even talking about the right point of history when you use the word Africa. That's neither here nor there. That's another conversation for another day.
Oh yeah, where Hannibal lost the fight, he lost the war, and then the whole continent had to be named Africa.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. Like how you win the whole continent, bro?
It's mine. It's mine.
So
I got
America's
this.
fist
Yeah.
you won the whole. You won both continents, North and South America, huh?
I want this Mayan calendar thing as a tattoo. That's on kind of fire.
Mm.
That's on kind of fire. Yeah, it definitely looks like Cali in the middle, sunshine. And we were really smart. We knew numbers. We had maps. So, like the concept that there's no maps of a certain period of time, I sincerely believe is false. Um, it probably looks way different than this.
I believe that's how they
This is
developed
the only thing they want to give
topography.
us.
I believe they developed topography first. You know,
I really think that this side and the other side of the world are like the left and right. hemisphere. Like they're like alternate universes happening at the same time.
Hmm.
We're just out here time jumping and going into the upside down. We're not even getting started for what it is because we don't believe in magic. That sucks.
Yeah, they experience in a different dimension.
Mm-hmm.
Who's to say that we're all in the same dimension that right now, or back then they were in part of the same dimension or what happened? These people were they had a different spiritual practice, different spiritual levels, different uh, religion, whatever. Um, they studied astrology. They probably analyze it differently. Yeah, because how can you say like time and the calendar is for the whole world at the same time? Because they go through different seasons and on one side of the world, on the other side of the world. Like I was talking to my friend. We both, I still have broad daylight, and the way his sky look, it's damn near dark outside.
Mm-hmm. It's like different universes. Really
It
cool.
is.
Put your hands in there. Helps with the coughing. Did you know that the Olmecs were the first to come up with the number zero? So I don't know how the pipeline went down, but Europe didn't get the number zero until the Indians and the Islamic people came to Europe. But that was like hundreds of years after the Olmecs and the Mayans were already using zero.
Well, that's amazing.
Yeah, because zero is a game changer. Zero is a big game changer.
Look at them now abusing it.
Hmm.
Excuse me. I had to get some water. um,
Their mathematics system was actually really interesting.
excuse me.
It was the invasion of the Christians that dumbed down their mathematics. See, how you gonna say these people disappeared, but then talk about how the Christians came?
They have they had like this. Did you ever get a picture of like their of what their math looked like? Because I have a picture right here, and it looks like dots with like little blocks or lines.
Hmm.
It's pretty dope. They had what do you call it?
Oh, I see what
A
you're talking
base
about.
20 system.
Hmm.
So basically, it was vegesimal, vegesimal, which means a 20 system or whatever. Groups of 20, um, unlike the decimal base 10 system commonly we use today. So usually that's what we use today, decimal
Oh,
base.
I see how they did it. So
Uh-huh.
each line is five, and each dot is one.
Mm-hmm. They have dots and bars, zero. Mm-hmm.
So the highest you can go is 4 bars.
So that's well, that makes sense how they came up with their 260-day calendar then.
Yeah. Hmm. So there would be like one Monday, one Tuesday, one Wednesday, one Thursday, one Friday, one Saturday, and it'll go two Monday, two Tuesday.
Like what today is again? This is 20th Tuesday. Oh, okay.
Right.
Damn. Imagine my work we would be like, man, my fucking Thursday would never get here. Imagine working 6 months straight in order to get a day off. The first day off, the first day of the week off.
I'll be hot. I'll be
So
so hot.
so then how do they measure like their age then too? So they probably it makes sense. They probably aged more. They were probably older. They probably counted themselves older in age.
That makes a lot of sense. When
Uh-huh.
people dying at 500.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. Oh, we don't have a whole lot to go off of. I think probably for our next episode we can create like a video, you know.
Yeah.
We could probably do a voiceover video or something, to present.
We could
Because
do it.
we don't have a lot of information on tribes, our ancient tribes. So we gotta make it.
They be like, they give us a little piece of tea on here. We gonna get to it by the end of the season. We're gonna have a nice little connected dot situation.
Oh, we definitely will. We always have dots connecting. These always happen in order. Um, not even, not even, strategized though. It just works out that
hmm The universe takes the wheel on our episodes. I ain't gonna hold y'all. The next episode that we're gonna do is going to be on July 31st. This is the power of the Aztecs. So we're gonna be talking about the Aztecs next episode, and that's gonna be a good time. Yay!
way. Woo! We love
So
the
if anybody's interested
Aztecs.
in being a guest, we would love to have you. We'll be back here next Thursday at 8 p.m. EST.
Yeah, we surely will. Now, give us about a good 15-minute grace time, getting everything set up because I had some technical difficulties coming in. As y'all see, I don't have my camera on, and I don't know why, even though it's in my
Mm,
settings. I've done everything that I could to try to get it on. But you'll just have to listen to the sensual sounds of Goddess Vibes.
yeah, we're gonna figure it out.
Yeah, this was good. This was a good one for the first episode of the fifth season. How do you feel?
I feel good. I feel like we're breaking the ice, getting back comfy and communicating our information and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Indeed, indeed.
No,
Feel
I
that
am.
way too. I'm
I'm super
excited.
excited for this season. This is gonna be a great season. We're gonna learn so much. We're gonna have a whole different mindset by the end of this joint. It's gonna be a great time.
It definitely will. Oh, when's the episode? Do we have is the Airwalks part of the notable features or what? No, the honorable mention? That's a notable feature. Honorable mention or what? Let's see.
Let me check see if we have an episode on the Airwalks. Um, no, but let's write them down for the um
For the honorable travel mentions.
yeah.
Okay, because when we take trip in September, I'm definitely going to delve deep into asking about the Airwalks over there.
Mm,
Hmm.
absolutely.
Yes, because getting information from different sources other than just America sources is pretty dope.
Agreed.
Yes.
I have the Blackfoot up there too because we didn't have an episode. We don't have an episode with just the Blackfoot.
Oh yeah, that's what my daddy ended up be saying Blackfoot. I've at least heard my grandmother mention something about Blackfoot before.
Just to run down the episodes, we got the power of the Aztecs, we got the matrilineal Cherokees, Navajos of the West, the unconquered Seminoles, the West African Gullah Geechee, the nomadic Sioux tribe, Yamasee warriors, Choctaw Code Talkers, the Creek Confederacy, because they was like, my bad, y'all. The,
Sons of the South asses.
yeah, they was the snitching ass ones. Lenape, the original people. And then we have our episode of the honorable tribal mentions of all the other tribes that we didn't mention. And then we're gonna start the day before Halloween Mischief Night. We're gonna chat about the colonial formation, which is how the colonies came in. And
Are you colonials? Let's get information.
we always
Are you
chatting
colonists?
about them like they started history. We're gonna chat about them like they have been.
Like they came to kill, steal, and destroy.
Rape and pillage.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Well, we thank everyone for joining us. Everyone who stayed here from the beginning to the end. For those who came in and dipped. Um, Hidden and Gloria Dorvlo.
Thank you. Thank you.
Appreciate y'all so much, so much. Yes. And yeah. This
No,
gonna conclude our episode, or we just gonna try to keep ad libbing.
no. We getting this here, and this will be uploaded on our YouTube page. We out of here.
All right.
Peace,
Peace.
peace.